afternoon's King Saul. We're all set. So here now, the Word of God, modified just a little bit. When our story starts, the Philistines occupied one hill. These are our Philistines, the Greek chorus. Occupied one hill, and the Israelites another. And there was this big valley that was right in between them. The Philistines had a champion named Goliath. Right. Goliath was over 9 feet tall. 9 feet tall. He had a bronze helmet on his head and wore a coat of scale armor. This weighed 125 pounds. Just this right here. He had a javelin, which we're using a sword because that's all Party City had. They didn't have a javelin. But we're going to pretend this is a javelin. It weighed 125 pounds as well. And Goliath shouted,
"Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine, and are you not the servants of Saul? Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to beat me, we will become your servants. But if I beat him, you will become our servants and serve us."
When they heard this, the soldiers were terrified. They looked at each other and quaked in their boots. Goliath stamps his feet in anger. The soldiers had no one in their ranks who was as big as Goliath. No one wanted to go fight him. So Goliath kept coming out and yelling at the soldiers, and they were shaking in fear.
Ooh!
Now David was a shepherd. He spent time with King Saul at the palace. But most of the time he spent out in the field, keeping his father's sheep. David was the youngest person in his family. David's older brothers, he had 8 older brothers, can you imagine? They were in the army. They were on the hill, looking at the Philistines, and quaking in their boots. So one day, David's father told him to get some food for his brothers who were on the front line of the army. He went to them, and when he got there, he saw the Philistine army lined up on the hill with frightened soldiers, and he could not understand why. Then Goliath came out and began to speak.
"Will no one fight me? Aren't you the soldiers of Saul? Will no one stand and fight me?"
This made David really mad.
"We are not only the servants of Saul, we are the servants of God. If God is standing with us, then who can be against us? If all of your soldiers are too scared to fight him, then I will fight him because I know God will protect me."
David went to the king and asked to go and fight against Goliath.
You know, you're not able to go out and fight against Goliath. You're just a boy.
"I've been keeping my father's sheep. When a lion or bear came and carried off the sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. The Lord who delivered me from the paws of the lion and the paws of the bear will deliver me from the hands of this Philistine."
Okay, then, you go, and the Lord go with you.
David went to the river, and he chose 5 smooth stones. Then he walked to the front lines and waited for Goliath. When Goliath came out and asked if anyone would fight him, David stepped forward. When he saw how young David was, Goliath laughed and made fun of him. And the Philistines laughed, and they made fun of him too.
"You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, who you have defied. This day the Lord will hand you over to me, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel."
As Goliath moved closer to attack, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, he slung it and struck the Philistine in the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead. He fell face down onto the ground. So David triumphed over Goliath with a sling and a stone. Without a sword in his hand, he struck him down. Suddenly, the soldiers were not afraid anymore, and they ran to attack the Philistines. And it was the Philistines who ran away scared. understood that while people may look on the outside, God looks in the heart.
Ask God what you can do for his kingdom today. No matter how big the scary giant may be, God will be with you forever.
Amen.